it's looking tasty. Welcome, my friends. Yes, welcome. Hope you're all well. Welcome to another episode of Nintendo NightCap. I hope you're all peachy. The game is looking tasty, isn't it? It's looking good. Not Pikmin 4 level good. Let's not get silly, my good friends. But it's looking good enough for pre-order. Yes, it is. We're going to get straight into the meat and potatoes of the awesome presentation, gameplay demo. But before we do, if you're new, if you're just dropping by, if you're eavesdropping, then, hope you enjoy the content. And if you do, leave us a like and a sub. It helps us out, helps us grow, which is what friends do. So with that, pull up a chair, sit down and enjoy as we delve deep into what was an amazing gameplay demo. But before we do, let's start with the other announcement, which was awesome, but it's not the main reason we're here. So let's get out of the way quickly. Nintendo did, of course, announce, as the rumors suggested, a Tears of the Kingdom Switch OLED Special Edition. Very tasty it looked. I especially like the Joy-Cons, the green Joy-Con with the Zelda pattern, but it was the dock that caught my eye. The dock was very tasty indeed. It had the what was it? It was white and gold with its Zelda type pattern. Looked really nice, really elegant. That's what I liked about it. Although what I really did catch my eye was the Pro Controller. The Pro Controller was awesome. I have a Pro Controller. I've got one. OG Pro Controller, but it's all dirty and scratched up and has a filthy bite mark where my now dead rat gnawed into it. God bless his soul. So I might have to get one. Indeed. But anyway, with that out of the way, have a look at yourself. It's on Amazon and all other places. Although in the UK, it's actually out of stock now. It's sold out. So even if I wanted one. Anyways, to the presentation, which was, of course, spearheaded by Anuma, the game's director. He showed us roughly, as they said, about 10 minutes worth of gameplay, and that entailed some tasty stuff. We got to see how you would traverse the world, what kind of enemies you would encounter, what new abilities we have, a couple of secrets they didn't tell us about, but that we caught them, eagle-eyed people that we be. We don't have the Sheikah Slate, of course. That's out the window. At least seemingly it is. Instead, what we have is Link with his dirty green hand. And that green hand allows him to possess the abilities similar, and in fact some, as the ones that we had with the Sheikah Slate. And so it wasn't long before we saw the first one. And what that was, we saw some footage of Link on horseback riding towards some cliffs, and we saw a rock falling from the sky with that now familiar green mist surrounding it. And as Link approaches it, he uses his first ability, which is called Recall. And what this is a time shifting ability, let's say. So what he's able to do is approach that rock, select it, highlight it, and then reverse its path back towards the sky. So naturally he stands on the rock, reverses time, and it allows him to go up to the skies where he's overlooking the sky islands, and then from there he can get on his glider and glide towards the different islands, and it'll look really cool. It was just like another form of freedom, I guess, in the game, like another way to traverse through the lands. It was really good, because you were wondering, how am I going to get up to these sky islands? That was one of the ways. We did in fact see a hint of this weapon in a past trailer. You might remember in one of the trailers we saw some goblins throwing down some spike balls at Link, to which he then froze time and reversed them back up the hill towards the goblins. So that was cool. That was really cool to see. But the ability, and this is where the game is gonna be incredible, is with the ability called Fusion. With Fusion, as the name suggests, what you can do is combine different objects together. The first time we see this is we see Link with a branch. We know the branches break really easily, right? In fact, we see him attack an enemy in this gameplay demo. Branch breaks, fine, whatever. He goes someplace else, he grabs a branch and he fuses it to a boulder, and this is insane. You know those boulders that you push, right? Right. He fuses a branch to that, and it basically turns it into a hammer. And not just that, what it does is you can actually see on the weapon stats, it strengthens it. And so meaning that, yes, of course, we learn now that, in fact, you know, Tears of the Kingdom's weapons will be breakable. But at least with this ability, with the fusion ability, you're gonna be able to, one, come across weapons, you know, a lot more frequently, but two, have much more freedom in customizing different items together to create stronger weapons, which will be more durable. So that was awesome. But that's not the only manner that we saw Link use it. No, we saw it with his bow and arrow, and this was insane. So what we saw with the bow and arrow, we saw that he could fuse the arrows with like a leaf, for example. We saw him fuse it with frozen choo-choo, which he then you know, fired at an enemy, which of course, you know, froze him and killed him. You could see different things in your backpack that you could fuse with the arrows. One of them randomly was a piece of meat. I have no idea what the hell that's going to do. But what we did see him do was grab, is it Kisi, the bat's eyeball? He fuses the bat's eyeball to the arrow, and it effectively turns it into a homing missile. So then he looks at a flyby enemy in the sky, just aims in the general direction of it, and you see the missile change direction, you know, a la the red shell from Mario Kart. You know, and there was like a bunch of stuff that you could see that you could fuse things with. The other ability, so we got the recall one, we got fusion. The third ability we saw, this is a really awesome one, was the one called Ultra Hand, which is really cool actually, because it's actually a reference to what's it called, Gunpei Yokoi, who famously you know, invented the Ultra Hand, which was a toy from the 60s, which actually sold over a million copies of it. Million toys, and actually from there he went on, he was like a genius inventor. Nintendo hired him. He went on to actually invent the D-pad, the Game & Watch, the Game Boy. So legendary Nintendo figurehead. Anyway, so they've, you know, named this ability after his famous invention. And what that is, where before you could grab metal objects, now you can grab any type of material and you can manipulate the objects together. So that was cool in itself. But then what you can do now also is combine, you know, attach the items together, attach the objects together. So here we see Link go up towards some tree trunks and actually, you know, basically puts 3 of them together, is able to attach 3 of the trunks together. And then he comes across these fans, you know, that blow air, and he's able to attach the fans to the trunks to create a raft, which then, you know, and then he's able to activate the fans that blow air and allow him to traverse across the river super fast. It's incredible. It's really awesome. And actually we saw there was something really interesting here. Some really smart eagle-eyed people saw that actually when Link is highlighting the trunks, in the background you can see that he has an option to, it looks like, grab some of the actual platforms, the sky islands in the back. So that's going to give us a little idea, you know, of, you know, the kind of, I suppose, freedom, you know, and power that you have with this ability to be able to move seemingly any objects, including sky islands. So that was really awesome. Another ability that we saw was more of a convenience one, at least. It's, you know, still awesome, but, you know, we saw him have the, what's it called? It was called the Ascend ability, and that basically allows Link, it was pretty awesome, allows Link to travel through a ceiling and land on top of it. And so we see Link go into what looks like a cave and then look up towards the ceiling and uses the ability, and he just literally just travels through it. And so Anuma did mention that basically you could use this anywhere that had a ceiling. So if you were locked in the cage, he says, no problem, you can literally just transfer yourself through the solid ceiling. So that's going to make things, really convenient, and it's going to mean that you don't always have to climb, the top of a mountain using your stamina, right? If it happens to be, if the cliff happens to be, over or above, a cave, then, you can use the cave as a shortcut to get to the top without having to use your stamina. So it was really, 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 really awesome. There was a lot of things that looked really impressive about this game. A lot of the enemies looked really cool. Some of them looked like they've been put together with different parts. In fact, some of the enemies, it's not just Link that can fuse weapons together. Some of the enemies that we came across have fused weapons, meaning now that, the way it looks like there's going to be more variations in your encounters with the enemies, and you're going to have to be more strategic when combating them. So it looked really, really cool. There was some other little cool things that they didn't mention, but we could see in the trailer. We did see some of the Korok seeds, and that was really interesting. There was one in the field somewhere that was, I can't remember what he said, but he was trying to get somewhere, and he was carrying a big backpack, which looks like the Koroks aren't just going to be a case of just collecting them. They might have some missions attached to them, so I think even the Koroks are going to be more interesting to come across now. So yeah, the game looked awesome. It looked really cool. There's a lot of things we didn't learn about, which I'm actually happy. We didn't get to learn about any of the story. We didn't learn that much more about any additional characters. We didn't hear about shrines or dungeons, anything like that. But I'm happy with that. I'm very, very cool. One of the things I did forget about was actually with the fusion. Oh my god, I did mention the raft, right? But also, in the past trailers, we saw those, the gliders that Link has. We saw the air balloon, and that's one of the things you're going to be able to do as well. With these fans, you're going to be able to create all kinds of vehicles, land and air, and so I think the freedom that players are going to have with these abilities, God knows what types of videos we're going to see now, what people are going to create and invent. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be mind-blowing. Anuma did mention there was a lot more to show, but he, clearly, obviously, he wants to leave a lot of it up to us, right? He wants, doesn't want to spoil it for us. So I'm super excited. This is definitely peak excitement for me. For this game, it's the most excited I've been, 100%. I've said this many times, I love Breath of the Wild, but it's not in my top 3 Zelda games. I always liked Wind Waker, Twilight, and Ocarina of Time. I loved Breath of the Wild, but I always had parts of it that I thought could have been a lot better. The lack of story. The boss fights were quite generic for me. There was no big dungeons. We had the Divine Beast, which I did like, but there was only 4 of them. There wasn't any dungeons. I always knew that those things Nintendo could easily rectify because they have the pedigree. And I think those 5 years they've had to develop this game, having things like the physics engine out the way and done and completed, giving them enough time to expand on the gameplay and throw in more ideas and give us more customization, more freedom, but also I'm predicting and I'm hoping that it's also allowed them the time to put into more original, better designed bosses, dungeons, story, hopefully more music, and I'm really confident that they are gonna hit all of those, and I will say I expect this to be better than Breath of the Wild. I do. The hardest thing I always said would be, can they have, or can they deliver on the sense of discovery, and originality, and that kind of, wow, I've never seen this, the element of surprise. And I think they're going to do it. I think this, you might not get the same wow like the first time you came out in Breath of the Wild and the gates opened and you saw the world for the first time, but I think you're going to get more ideas and really cool, awesome things that we've never seen before. So I think they're going to do it. I'm super excited. I'll be so let down if it ends up being a disappointment, but I think it's going to be better than Breath of the Wild. I'm going to bet on it right now. I'm going to build it right now. But there we go. I will leave it there. I hope you enjoyed the video. You know, we'll be back tomorrow. Watch out for another episode of Nintendo Nightcap. Whatever news happens to be the rounds, we'll make sure we cover here. Again, if you like what you saw, you know, hit that like and subscribe. You know, let me know in the comments, as I said, what you liked and what you didn't, and all that good stuff. So, yes, until then, until tomorrow, my good friends, you know, have an awesome one. See you later.